friends. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Ssemanda, medical intuitive healer and life coach, and you're listening to Stepping into Soul Power, the podcast for people who understand that we are more than just our physical bodies. Here we explore topics like healing, medical intuition, help you identify your blocks, and give you the strategies to empower the soul in you. Friends, get ready. We have a great guest today. You know, we are focusing on healing through a paradigm shift. And this guest, our guest today, is going to blow your minds, friends. He's a husband, he's a father, an Europa graduate, therapist extraordinaire, helping people to wake up and achieve a higher level of consciousness that is available to them. So please welcome our guest, Erik Vienneau.
Well, I've never had an introduction that beautiful. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Oh, no worries. So I'm so excited to have you. Our audience doesn't know you yet, all the great things that you're doing, but so could you start and tell us about your journey to becoming a mental health advocate, a healer?
Well, you know what I would love to do is just take one deep breath with the audience and you, if you like, just a big old breath through the nose, hold at the top, and then let it all out the mouth. And I just really want to settle into this moment with you because it's so special.
Oh, thank you.
I'm honored to know you previously before this, and the transition that you've made in your life is just mind-blowing to me. I'm always telling your story to everyone. This amazing mainstream medical Western doctor who decides to totally start to trust her soul and her calling, and to make the impact that you're making in the world, and to just feel your power and strength in this moment is absolutely mind-blowing, because we need more humans that wake up and start to listen to this, to their heart, and stop listening to cultural programming. And I just saw you do that so beautifully. So I just wanted to name that I know your guests are getting to know you with all that you're sharing. And I'm just so wonderful to see someone so alive and so trusting and so much guts, because it takes guts, doesn't it? Like, we're all trained with this cultural programming. I in a way, you could have been seen as you had it all, right? You just had all the Western stuff. You had this great career and a doctor, great schools, and the whole thing. And you said, I'm feeling something different, is what I learned from you, and you are bringing it. And what a role model. So
thank you. That's very thoughtful. Yes, I am honored. Well, it's an honor to have you on, because I know what you're doing, and just see great things now, but even greater things in the future for you.
We're all just stepping into our power. Isn't that your tagline almost? Or stepping into our soul power?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's so perfectly said. It is what it is. And there is so much limitless energy there. That's what so I'm a therapist, is one of my roles. I went to Europa University, and the main training is, well, it was kind of crazy that the first prerequisite they made me take was about the personality. And I was like, why is that the first thing I need to know? And now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, because we come in perfect. You think of these beautiful kids that are they're so alive and embodied and innocent, and they just own it, right? Yeah. And then something happens to all of us. It could be little T trauma, big T trauma. And we think we're not okay, right? And then we form a personality. And that's why the personality was so important, because the personality is like our armor. It's like our way to survive in this world once once we're told somehow or believe we're not okay. And when I hear your tagline, to empower the soul in us, it's like, that is what it's all about, is letting go, blasting. It almost feels like a destruction of who we thought we were. And that takes guts. And then so I just sharing all this because this is what I do with Awake. It's why I call our communities called Awake Mindful Living.
Mm-hmm,
And when
mm-hmm.
people wake up to who they really are, that's what I do. That's my favorite client. Those are the people that I want to see at my events, are those people who are, they've suffered enough by doing all the cultural roles and the stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had, it's ironic, but enough suffering is what we want, actually. And it's hard to say that to someone. Like, it's good, almost. It is good that you've had so much suffering that you're finally sick of it.
Yeah.
And that's when the transformation is ripe, and that's what we do at Awake. So I think I'm starting to answer your first question, but I'm just pumped to be with a fellow waker upper.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes, well, tell us more about because you mentioned your the great community you've created with Awake. Um, Tell us about, like, how did that come about? What's your story?
Oh gosh, a short, medium, or long?
Oh, whatever your spirit feels. Whatever is in your spirit, just say
Okay, let's feel
it.
that.
Yes.
Where did Awake come from? Um, hmm. I guess I have my own version of suffering, and it looked nice too. That's the trippy part of it. After college, I did a thing called the Landmark Forum. If anyone's heard of Landmark Education out there, it's amazing. I was a drone. I was programmed by my culture that you go to school, you get good grades, you get into a good college, you find the girl, you get the house, you work hard, you retire, you golf, and then you die. And
Mm,
and that's literally like kind of what I was fed by my American dream, right?
mm.
And I graduate college, and one day I'm selling insurance, which I hated. I was just doing it because I was told by my culture that to be a good man, I needed money to get the right, to make it all happen. And
Mhm.
I'm in my black car. It's like a Toyota, I don't know, some black car, and it was like 95 out. And some of my smart
Yeah.
friends were at the beach, and I'm going to try to sell insurance and just in hell. And I was like, this can't be all that they promised me, like this doesn't feel right. So I
Mm,
signed it. Ironically, the boss's daughter that I worked for, she was like the manager, and I'm
mhm.
supposed to be selling insurance for them. And she said, "Oh, you should go to this Landmark Forum. It's amazing," thinking it would help me sell better for them and make them more money. And
Yes.
but I had a transformative experience, and in that moment I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I can control my life. Like, I don't have to do what I was told by my culture. Like, I'm free." I couldn't
Mm.
believe it. I quit on Monday. I'm sure her father was thrilled that he paid for this thing. Um,
Oh. Oh,
and
geez.
that's I'll tell you that in that moment when I had that, I would highly recommend Landmark Education. It was pivotal in my life. From
Mhm,
that
mhm.
moment, though, I feel like my awakening began, and I started to travel the world. I said no thank you to my dad's business, which is a great financial opportunity, but I just knew it wasn't what I wanted.
Mhm,
Moved to Colorado from the East Coast.
mhm,
Just
mhm.
lived the dream in a way, waiting tables and then saving the money. And I went all over the world, India and Southeast Asia. Um,
Wow.
that was such a wonderful time in life to have just a backpack and nothing else to worry about. And I think that kind of, maybe if you've heard of the hero's journey, I think it was part of that. Like, I
Yes.
left the safety of the starting point of the safe community, and I
Mhm.
kind of busted out on my own, and but then the next evolution here, though, is I just started to party a lot, and I got into the kind of the club culture, full moon
Yes.
parties,
Yes.
all those different medicines. And and I realized I was still suffering deeply, because even though I freed myself of the construct of needing to do what culture said, I was
Mhm.
still grasping and chasing the next thrill, the next trip, the next drug, the next party.
Yes.
And I was still, in Buddhism they call it clinging and
Mm.
craving, and that showed me I wasn't okay in here. So that's about halfway through the story. Am I on the right track, or is there any?
You're absolutely,
Okay.
yes. You're on the right track.
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk about this. We all have our paths, and it's fun to look back and see that, like, those pivotal points, you know? Um,
Yes.
But in that moment, I was so aware of my suffering, even though my life looked really free and good.
Yes.
And I prayed to meet a Buddhist teacher. I'd never prayed in my life. I rejected the Catholic Church back east, like so many people. It just
Hmm.
wasn't living what it promised. You know, I think Jesus is amazing and all the
Yes.
teachings, but the church just wasn't, you know, how it is. So I had rejected that, but I prayed anyways, because I was like, well, I was hearing about these manifestation teachings by Joe Dispenza, those kind of things. And I
Yes.
was like, well, I'm going to ask the universe to deliver me a Buddhist teacher. And I thought I was going to go to a yoga class a couple weeks later. A friend invited me, and sure as heck, it was a Buddhist teacher. And I'm in all my yoga clothes, thinking we're going to do yoga. And
Yes.
this teacher, his face melted into gold for me, literally. Like, that's what I experienced. And
Wow.
I knew he was my teacher for that point in my life, and that's when I started to get pretty serious about the Buddhist path. And I went into multiple 30-day retreats. I just really dove in 100%. And
Wow.
I bought into the Four Noble Truths, and I still believe in them fully. And I see it now in real life. Back then, it was in
Hmm.
a sacred text of Buddhism,
Hmm.
but that's
Hmm.
what informs everything about awake now. So I'm getting closer to where awake comes from. Is in Buddhism, awakening is waking up to your freedom, to your truth.
Yes.
So what you wake up to is your Buddha nature, they call it. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't care. No one needs to be Buddhist. It's not about that. It's whatever works for everyone listening. But we have to make the transition from chasing worldly things to get happy and okay, because that's based on a bunch of BS. That's based on this misbelief that we're not okay already. I mean,
Mm.
isn't that funny that most of us miss that? Like, we must assume we're not okay inside and not fully happy if we chase all those things in this
Absolutely.
world. And the main teaching of Buddhism is, sorry, sweetie, all those things that you've been chasing are impermanent. So the money, the people, I mean, look at all the divorces, or look at, you get the car and it makes you feel happy for a few minutes until someone crashes into it in the parking lot. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
every,
Or scratches it
oh,
up.
yeah, like everything that we thought would make us happy eventually can turn to suffering. And that's the first noble truth of Buddhism. It's like, hey, let's be realistic here. The way you're doing this, it's not that life is inherently suffering, that people get turned off by Buddhism sometimes. It's like, no,
Hmm.
it's the way you're doing it is leading to suffering.
Mm.
So that's the transformation that I'm so excited to share with Awake. And everything we do is we have to draw a line in the sand. I'm sick of using a system that doesn't work. Like, because
Mm.
it's ridiculous to wake up every morning and to start from a place of not okay, not happy, and think you're going to get it from a world that can't deliver it.
Mm.
So therefore, you have to awaken to the truth that you already have arrived, that your Buddha nature is limitless, peaceful, 100% okay. So that's Buddha. That's three jewels. Take refuge,
Yes.
Buddha. Dharma is
Yes.
all the teachings. So not just Buddhist teachings, any teachings that wake you up. It's this podcast, definitely this podcast. And then Sangha is the community of people that are on this path that are going to remind you, hey, sweetie, you can go try to get another raise at work or another promotion, but you know it's not really going to do it. You're already okay,
Yes.
my love. Let's sit and meditate together and directly experience that you've arrived. I mean, let's stop the bull crap. That's Sangha. So
How can we like if you know someone came to you today, like what's one thing that they could do to kind of move themselves, and then there's this it's a it's a very different paradigm shift. Like what can they do to help move in that direction?
so they need to have suffered as much as they need to suffer. And I know, I don't know how that sounds to people listening. I'm a therapist, so I sit here on this. This is actually my therapy. This is where my clients usually sit, and I'm
Hmm.
over there, and they'll tell me their story, right? I'm
Yes.
going through this divorce, or my dad died. I mean, they come in with the hardest stuff in life, right? And
Yes.
I'm in this relationship that's not working.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it seems to me to be 100% true now, that you have had to bang yourself into the wall, your head into the wall enough times I think of 20-year-olds actually in our culture. Maybe they come in around 30, the lucky ones, and they've
Mhm.
been told
The
that all
lucky
their,
ones. Whoa.
this is weird to say that, right? They're
Yes,
lucky to
yes,
suffer because they go into the 20s buying into the American dream, right? And
yes,
then I love it whenever people get what they want. They get all the money, they have a couple relationships, and they're totally unsatisfied. And that's my perfect client. So what you asked was, what's one thing?
hmm,
One thing is to realize that I've had enough. So in Buddhism, they call it disgust with a samsara.
uh-huh,
These they sound so horrible, but it's so powerful. It's
yes,
that you're so sick of chasing your own tail to get happy because you sense somewhere inside it's not working. So you have
hmm,
to be like grossed out by it and say, "This is stupid. Why do I keep banging my head against trying to find the right guy or girl to make me happy when I'm already okay?" So
yes,
the one thing people can do is draw a line in the sand. That's the one thing, I guess, is you have to, until you're really ready to do that, you're going to continue to suffer and have to have more experiences of the relationship not doing it or the money not doing it. And you're
yes,
going to have another episode of feeling so unsatisfied, unfortunately. But eventually you have to say enough. And that's what I saw you do. That's why I feel so aligned with you, is at some point you were just over it, I think, was my perception, and you were
yeah.
ready to, I guess, can I give two things?
Sure. Sure.
The other obvious thing that I see that is the best advice I could give is trust this. Um, I'm starting to believe whatever the Catholics, Christians called sin, what
Yes.
sin means to me now is not listening to this. So maybe in
Mm,
Christianity, it's not listening to the message of God or whatever, but it's like, what you know, don't people say I don't know all the time because they're so intoxicated by their thinking mind. We've
mm.
been so conditioned to be cognitive. Let me make a pro and
Yes.
con list. Let me ask advice. Let me do some research. Let's talk about it. And I'll do all that with people, but really what I love to see is when people start to get that still small voice within, they call it in Christianity, the
Yes.
still small voice within. It's there all the time for us, but it's covered up by all the muck of the thinking and the figuring out. I guess if I could train people, if I can help people to listen to that voice, it gets more and more pronounced, and the thinking fades more and more, and we learn to trust this. And
Yeah.
I always look out the window with my clients and look at the trees and say, look, nature knows what to do next. The trees know when to sprout in the spring and drop their leaves and to
Yeah.
hibernate. They don't have to think. It's almost a curse that we think so much because we know what to do next. Our lives will be perfect if we can trust this. So there's two big tips.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Trusting your heart, what is within, um, and then just getting through all that gunk. Like, just it's a challenge. It is a challenge, but well worth the challenge.
There's like layers of it. It's amazing to sit with, say, 6 clients in a day and to see it's the same human potential. I
Hmm.
can feel everyone's nature. I'm like, oh yeah, they have the same woke nature as I do. But
Yeah.
it's like some people are so buried in suffering of layers of thoughts, and some have a really thin layer of thoughts, and those are the ones that feel ready to like pop.
Yes, yes. And so for people who are not, haven't really connected with psychiatry or spirituality, like when you talk about layers, can you kind of break it down? Like what is that?
Well, so mainly the issue is thoughts aren't a problem. So in the West, the message has been sent that meditation is getting rid of thoughts.
Mm,
And that is so not true. People suffer in meditation because they think they're supposed to clear their mind.
mm,
Really, all that we want to do is stop believing the thoughts. So the problem is not the thoughts, it's the believing the thoughts. And every time you believe a thought of I'm not good enough, or oh, if I just get that raise, then I'll be happy, or if she would just go out with me on that date, then I'll be happy.
mm,
Um, it those believing those thoughts of not
mhm.
good enough, of my happiness is outside of me,
Mm-hmm.
Or the other way, if this person wasn't in my life, or if I could get rid of the bad things that are blocking me, so believing all the thoughts is what layers it on. And that's what
Mm.
Buddhism, that's karma. In the
Mm-hmm.
West, karma's been misunderstood a lot as well.
Yes.
um, Karma is really just a bunch of pile of thoughts that shouldn't have been believed, that were believed, and actions that were taken based on ignorance.
Mm.
I don't know. Don't believe the hype. Don't, just stop believing your thoughts.
Yes. Yes. Stop believing your thoughts.
They're just
Ah,
thoughts. That's what
yeah.
meditation teachers will tell you. I don't care. They'll tell you in retreat, like, I don't care if the thought is like you're going to change the world through this, or
Yes.
I'm a blue cow. Like,
Yes.
just the training is just safe thinking and let it go.
Mm.
Just safe thinking, come back, and they're training you to stop believing the BS. And there's a buildup of BS, and
Mm.
that's karma. That's karma.
Wow.
That's the funk. That's the
Very,
layers.
very sound, very, very sound advice. And when as you had mentioned a word that I don't know if I think some people may be aware of Sangha, community. Can you tell us like what that has meant for you and like why it might be important for our audience?
Well, the Dalai Lama calls it enlightened self-interest. So it's
Yes.
not selfishness, it's being smart, and caring for others actually makes us happy. So the Dalai Lama said that because it's like, most people in the West think, oh, if I get more for me, if I get more friends, if I get the right job, if I get the money, if I get the promotion, if I get the beach house, and if I
Mm,
avoid all the problems, then I'll be happy. But
mm,
the reality is caring for others actually makes us happy. So
mhm,
I
mhm.
just knew that kind of trick. So it's nice. So I love building community. And the other little thing is there's three types of Buddhas, and I would like to fully awaken someday. One
Yes.
one goes over first. So there's this river, right? And on one side is all the suffering beings. And that's kind of tough about Buddhism. On one side of the river are the Soso Kiwos, they're called in Tibetan.
Mhm,
And those are the
mhm,
childlike beings.
mhm.
And that's sad, but isn't it true? Like, if I could just get another drink, isn't it similar to if I could just get a lollipop? I mean,
Yes.
childlike beings, and then you cross over the river to awakening.
Mm.
And there's so the three types of Buddha. One goes over first and then goes back and gets everyone else. And then there's a second one who everyone crosses over at the same time. And then there's a third one that pushes everyone else over first, and then
Mhm,
they go. And
mhm.
I think I'm the last one, because I just want to help everyone else cross over, and then
Yeah.
maybe they'll like let me in too.
Oh, know that you'll be there. You'll
In Buddhism,
definitely.
it's actually called merit. So the more you
Ooh,
help other people, and you just kind of support everyone, and it actually is enlightened self-interest. It actually helps you too, because I'm one of the
yes,
suffering beings, they say. So you're no more or less important. So
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
community is huge. And the other more practical thing maybe is practicing alone every day. Everyone wants to develop a meditation practice that comes into
Mhm,
our community. I hear that every retreat is
mhm.
like, oh man, I'm really wanting to maintain a daily practice, and it's so hard. And they
Yeah,
think they're alone, or there's some kind of failure. It's like, no, it's hard to sit with your mind every morning for 20, 30 minutes.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so community is like when you get in a room with 20, 30, 100 people, and you sit together, or you do yoga, or you do qigong, or you even have a silent meal, or sometimes we do walking meditation by the river. It just feels so different. You're supported. I mean, to me, it's like, if I do like if I work out at home or do yoga at home alone, I'm going to be
Mhm.
in shavasana within a minute. I
Oh,
just don't do it. But when I'm with community, you do it, right?
yes.
So community is just like doing it together, and it's so better, so much better.
Awesome, awesome. And and for our listeners, we'd love to get I'd love for you to give them a taste. You already did it a little bit, but give listeners a taste of what like a practice that you found to be helpful in empowering yourself or in empowering others?
Okay. So I'll give the most practical one I can think of.
Yes.
So assuming most people listening are, in the US, I'm sure your podcast will reach the whole world and does, but so say many of us are in a pretty busy, stressed out culture, you could argue,
Yeah.
where the carrot has been set, where doing is valued more than being. I would recommend setting a timer on your phone or whatever that goes off every hour, and it gives you a little buzz. And right in the middle of whatever you're doing, and they do this at Thich Nhat Hanh's community too. It's called Plum Village. Even on retreat, people get caught up, right? And I'm walking to my next class, or
Yes.
I'm cooking and helping volunteer or cleaning, and they just ring a bell, and everyone just stops and breathes together. So let's just do that. So imagine that you're in the busyness of your day, you're totally caught up, and you're not driving. In this example, so say you're on the computer and the bell goes
Yes.
off, right? You're so caught up, right? And then you just stop, you look away, you maybe go outside even, and we'll just breathe together for a minute. So let's gently close our eyes if you're not driving. And let's just do what we did in the beginning. It's the best breath that I know of right now, is just breathe in deep through the nose, hold at the top, and then exhale out the mouth like you're blowing out birthday candles. Let's do a few more together. Let's do 3 more. Those feel so good. These next ones can even be more of a sigh, like when you hit the couch after a busy day. Ooh, that was better. I like that one better. Let's do one more. Biggest inhale of the day. Hold, hold, hold. And then let it all out. Now let's let the breath return to normal, no longer controlling the breath. And just feel the weight of the body. Just notice you have a body. Isn't it amazing we miss this? So just feeling all the weight of the body, all the places it makes contact with the seat that you're in. Or if you're standing or walking, like the bottom of your feet on the earth. Or if you're lying down listening to this, just notice the whole back body supported by the earth, or whatever you're on. It's like whatever you're on is coming up to support you just as much as you're weighing down on it. Just feel held. And then you're going to probably notice the tension of life that got built up when you weren't mindful. And that's totally normal. It's not a problem. You don't try to make it go away. But maybe you just want to, on the next exhale, let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Maybe you want to let your belly hang out and down. And perhaps you want to release the pelvic floor. And then we just notice that the breath is there. And it isn't amazing that we miss this so much. This is our prana, life force, keeps us alive. So let's just spend 30 seconds with the breath, just as it is, without trying to change a thing. Breathing in peace, breathing out ease. And if you're like most humans, the thoughts already tried to pull you away. And you simply just say, no thanks, not now. I'm going to choose to be here for 20 more seconds. Just put all your attention, all your awareness on so much information you're getting right now. So much better than thinking. Feel all the tingling, of the body. Feel the texture of the breath. Hear the sounds. Feel the expansion of the chest and the belly. And then I'll be nice and quiet for 3 more breaths, and then we'll wrap up. And whatever breath feels best for the last 3 here, maybe like the ones we did in the beginning. 2 more. And then when you're ready, we can rub our palms of our hands together. If you're at a place where you can do that, warm them up. And then just rest your eyes and your head in the palms of your hand. And then you can even give yourself a little massage over third eye center, down the eyebrows, temples and jaw. And then blink the eyes open, maybe a little stretch.
Oh, thank you. Oh, so rejuvenating, refreshed. Honestly, a great way to start the morning.
It is. I'd highly recommend it every day. Embodied. So yoga is a popular word in our culture, right? And yoga means a union. And it actually comes from, in the old days, thousands of years ago, if you had 2 animals and you wanted to pull a cart, you would yoke them together. If you've ever seen those wooden things, they look like glasses almost. And it means to just unify body and mind. So yoga in the West is more thought of as poses, and that's fine, but it really means to bring together. And in the morning, sometimes aren't we so spun out by our thinking and our dreams? And it's such a good time to unify and bring it all together. That's why this when you put your palms in front of your chest in yoga, it makes so much sense. Or all the spiritual traditions always bring it here, isn't it? Let's bring it together and be embodied. Because if we're embodied, we're not going to hurt each other anymore. Absolutely. And that is the root cause of all our suffering. That's one big message I always love to share is you can try to save this world by trimming the branches of the tree of problems. I'm going to go to another protest. I'm going to vote for this person. I'm going to have this view and I'm going to change the world. But that's not as effective as going for the root cause. And the root cause is we've become just somehow disconnected from who we really are. And by meditation and these practices, we come back to our truth. And who we are is 100%. I can guarantee, if you haven't tasted it directly yet, all my teachers told me this, and now I've had some direct experience, and I pray everyone does. They call it tasting the honey. That we are love, and that we are 100% arrived and okay. We're okay. We're okay. That's the best way to say it in English. It sounds so basic, but if you're okay, you're not going to overconsume anymore. You're not going to hurt the planet. You're not going to hurt other people. You're not going to overconsume anymore. It's a shift in consciousness that's going to save the world. It's not going to be more doing from a sick consciousness. So I just wanted to share that last piece. That's why we need to wake up to who we really are. It's really the way we'll save the world.
I love it. I love it. And for our listeners, if they want to find you, how can they go about doing that? What's the best way?
Well, of course, I'm on all the social media outlets. Awake Experience is what we go under. The community is called Awake Mindful Living. And you can go to the website at awakeexperience.com. And if you're in Colorado or nationally, so if you're national, you're going to want to come to the Awake Festival. It's the 3rd annual coming up September 15th through 17th. We have over 50 wellness speakers and workshops. We have 30 beautiful vendors. It's a weekend-long experience in beautiful Evergreen, Colorado. It's like, I swear you could see it from space last year energetically. It was so beautiful, the vibe. So that's something people can come in for and camp and come to Colorado. And then on the website, there's all kinds of courses they could take if they're national. But if you're blessed to be here in Colorado, Other things you can find on the website, awakeexperience.com, are the monthly deep dives. So we meditate together and do yoga for a whole day with beautiful vegetarian lunch. Those are the deep dives. It's a beautiful streamside cabin. It's gorgeous. And now we're rolling out the pop-ups, awake pop-ups, and they're a monthly conscious party at night. Because how sick, when you start to wake up, I think you start to see the sickness of going to overconsume alcohol, or those environments just start to suck. But what do? You go to an awake pop-up because we have a beautiful class, and then it's followed by a social hour with great music and healthy high vibe food. So the awake pop-ups are awesome too. So just participate in community, and let's all wake up together.
Yes, yes. Strongly recommend the Awake Festival in September. It's, you will have a great time. And Evergreen is one of the most, especially Colorado in September, but Evergreen in September is gorgeous.
Right. The aspens are turning. It's like 40 minutes from DIA too. So if you fly into Denver, you can be here quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'd love to, I'd like to thank you so much for just dropping all of these just beautiful knowledge for the audience and for the work that you do. We are so honored to have had you as a guest, and thankful that you're truly doing some inspirational work and empowering others, and I think really helping to change the world for the better.
It's good to be in community with you. It's the only way to live, I've decided. I'm so done with chasing worldly things, and the only way to live is to spend as much energy as you can coming home to your truth, and then allowing it to blossom and in service, mainly because it's fun. I've decided.
Yes.
It's really a fun way to live, to hang out with high vibe people who are doing their work. And I should be careful though. We don't want to alienate all of us who aren't always high vibe. That's a really dangerous trap. Is if someone dies in your life, you're feeling like deep sorrow. That is welcome too in community, and it's like great to feel like high vibe and in touch with who we are, and to blossom that out. And it's also beautiful to kind of hunker down and hold each other when things get hard too.
Absolutely.
So I just community is the best, and conscious community is where it's at. So honored to be in your tribe. Thank you.
Thank you. Erik Vienneau is such an inspiring guest. And with that, it's time for our next segment. Time for our soul power statement for the week. And it is, what if I embrace the wisdom of my heart? It reminds me of a quote by Marianne Williamson. And she said that when the wisdom of the heart replaces the chatter of the mind, the power of love flows forth. Yes. So friends, embrace your inner light, embrace that heart-centered wisdom, and allow love to guide you. And with that, friends, we have come to the end of our time. I love hearing from you. Please comment below, subscribe to our podcast, write a review, let us know how we're doing. And if you're interested in intuitive reading or healing or coaching, send us a message at soulinyou.com. And finally, if no one has told you today, I will. Thank you for being authentically you. The soul in me honors the soul in you. Disclaimer: this podcast is for spiritual and or entertainment purposes and is not a substitute for medical diagnosis, healthcare treatment, or professional advice. Each person is so unique, so please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions.